voices that matter most, yours. And of course, Marette Brown Clark comes up at 12 noon with even more music and inspiration. Our next guest is Joseph Montgomery of Montgomery Law LLC. He founded the law based on his passion for helping children and families at all levels of litigation and protection. Mr. Montgomery, welcome to Praise 107.9 FM.
Good morning, Solomon Jones. Thank you so much
for
having me here.
It's a pleasure to have you, man. And, education, of course, one of my passions. And kids are one of the most vulnerable populations that we have in our society. From a legal standpoint, why are kids so vulnerable?
I agree. Kids in general are vulnerable, right? And then when you take it to the next level, children with disabilities are the most vulnerable of the already vulnerable population. You have parents sending their children to school, in some cases blindly trusting the school to really not only educate, but take care of their children, right? They're in a way stepping in. Partly is the role of the parent to make sure that the child stays safe as well as educated. And I think in this situation, we just need to make sure that these children are the most protected. As far as why they're vulnerable, I think it's just because there's the opportunity or the necessity to be away from the home, right? And the family is the unit that keeps the child safe. So when you, by necessity, send a child to school, you need to make sure that they're safe in school.
Yeah, and a whole range of safety issues in schools. We see school shootings and some other things that are happening that are really disturbing. But just at a regular, everyday level, kids who have disabilities, mental or otherwise, often have these things called IEPs, individual education plans, and there are some rules around individual education plans. Are those rules followed all the time?
So no, they're not followed all the time. The individual education plan or program is a contract. It's a legal document. So the first step is making sure that a child that requires an IEP has the IEP, right? So first we need to even get the IEP to give the school the opportunity to either follow it or not follow it. So assuming that the school does their job to locate, identify, and evaluate, and that's their legal duty to locate, identify, and evaluate, this is called child find. So the school actually has to find the children in need, right? It's not the responsibility of the parent to say to the school, hey, I think there's a problem, although parents should reach out to the school if they think there's a problem. Ultimately, it's the school's obligation to find the child, to determine whether the child's eligible for special education. If the child is eligible for special education, provide them with an IEP, and then ensure that that IEP is updated annually at the least and followed to the letter, right? This is a legal contract. Once something's in an IEP, I think the most important thing for parents to know is that once it's in the IEP, it's the school's 100% affirmative obligation to provide that support, right? So they can't say, this child needs one-to-one support, oh, go to your insurance provider and find an outside TSS worker, therapeutic support staff, and get that for your child, right? Once the school says they need it, it's the school's responsibility to provide it once it's in that IEP.
Mm-hmm. And so these IEPs are put together in partnership, from what I understand, with the parent and with the school. Is that right?
In the ideal world, right, the parent is a part of the team, right? So the team's the big word. Parents are provided what's called meaningful participation. So that's the legal, that's what parents get under the law. They get the right to meaningful participation. What meaningful participation means varies case by case, but they should be a part of the team. I would say no one really knows the child better than the parent, right? The school might say, well we have the child for maybe the majority of the time.
Yeah.
But regardless, right, they got to remember that it's the parent and the school, but in the center of that, it's the child. So everyone needs to be on the same team for the child.
So when these IEPs are put together and the school is supposed to be implementing this thing, and maybe things aren't going exactly as they should go, at what point does a lawyer get involved? At what point do you get involved in these cases?
Right, so generally something will happen, right? And it's usually not the parent saying, oh, there's a problem with this IEP, or I don't like the number of minutes of speech offered. Usually there'll be some kind of landmark, right? Whether it's a heated disagreement between the parent and the teacher that got to the next level, and the parent said, well, I just want to get a lawyer, I don't trust them. A loss of trust is a common theme that we'll see when right before a parent will contact us. Disciplinary issues. Children with IEPs have certain protections that students without IEPs don't have. There's situations, and sadly you see this in charter schools too often, where a charter school might say, look, the writing's on the wall, your child's going to be expelled. However, we're going to do you this favor, right? We're going to allow you to withdraw your child from the school to so that they don't have this expulsion on the record. But it's not a favor to the parent at all, right? The school, and we're in Philadelphia right here, right? So the charter school would ideally want the parent to put their child back in the school district of Philadelphia. So they're kind of, they want to maybe pick and choose the students that they program for, the students that don't fit their mold, put them back into the school district of Philadelphia. So school district of Philadelphia has a problem with this, and parents should have a problem with it as well, because quickly, just the charter school is what's called the LEA, and that's the local educational agency, and that's a legal term meaning they're the entity responsible for providing an education to the student. And if a student has an IEP and disabilities, and behaviorally they're not able to function appropriately in school, it's the charter school's responsibility to provide that parent with an alternative school option. So they can't just say, oh, withdraw them, right? So charter schools have obligations to properly handle discipline issues. So discipline will be one of the issues that'll get to us the quickest. Other than that, it's really just the parent and school not working together, parent not knowing exactly what the problem is, but understanding there's a problem and reaching out to an attorney.
Yeah, this is fascinating stuff, because you have a lot of kids who have these individual education plans. You have charter schools that, of course, get public money, but they operate as separate school districts, and so they kind of sometimes have their own rules that they operate by, and parents don't know that they're not supposed to do that. And so if a parent feels like they are, or their child is being treated unfairly, how do they get in touch with you so that you can help them through this process?
Good. Thank you for that. It's educationlawyers.com. They can find us there, educationlawyers.com, or we have a phone number. It's 833, the letter U, can sue. Because a lot of times parents don't understand you can sue your school, and we can help in that process. But we can also help to work outside of any formal litigation or formal filings. And if the opportunity presents itself to resolve issues outside of formal litigation, we're happy to do that as well. But sometimes it gets to the point where a formal case has to be filed in administrative court, and you go through what's called due process. Yeah, this is great stuff. And I know that there are some parents out there, and most of us don't understand what our rights are within the schools. And so it's great that you have focused your practice on this, because it is so very needed. That's Joseph Montgomery of Montgomery Law, LLC. He founded the firm on his passion for helping children and families at all levels of litigation and protection. You can get in touch with them at educationlawyers.com. That's educationlawyers.com, or you can call this snappy number at 1-833-U, the letter U, can sue. All right? So, Mr. Montgomery, I want to thank you so much for joining us this morning on Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
All right, it's a pleasure. So, we're going to go back to the phone lines, and we're going to talk to you at